Hey there, I'm John.
And I'm Josh.
And we are here talking about Week 10 results of the 2021 college football season. And had some interesting results from Week 10.
We definitely did. Honestly, most of the games were relatively interesting as a whole. It was a fun week, even though last week we kind of were like, this looks like more of a dud of a week. Huh?
That is true. And we realized that as we did the preview last week, we did the AP poll. Mm-hmm. The college football playoff poll came out after we did it. So some of the rankings were different.
We updated it.
Yeah, we updated. So let's talk about what happened this week. Missouri was at number 1 Georgia in Athens, and this went pretty much as we expected.
Yeah, so I said, is Missouri going to score more than 10 points? The answer is no. And they never scored a touchdown either. So this would have been a good time for you to bet on whether or not they score a touchdown.
Did I not say
2 field goals? You might have. You might have. Yeah. 43-6. Georgia still hands down best team in the country, not even close, defensively, offensively, you name it. I mean, and they even kind of struggled in the first quarter there, and then all of a sudden it's over.
But we knew, Missouri is a bottom of the barrel team in the SEC. Right. So this is not a surprise.
The moral is, until some team scores 28 points in the first quarter against Georgia, you're not safe, right? If it's 0-0 or anything like that, it's probably over.
Yes, and it's not Georgia's offense is just that wonderful, and they are against Missouri, but it's not that they're that great. It's just their defense.
No, the mailman is the king of offense for Heisman.
I find this very interesting because personally, I love good defenses, and Georgia's pulling that off.
They're just phenomenally.
They've got the defense, and in this day of high flying offenses, they're sort of running in the face of that and saying, "Hey, we can do it with defense."
Agreed.
They're doing it. Tulsa faced number 6 Cincinnati, and
Tulsa had struggle. 2 chances at the end of the game.
Surprise!
2 chances at the end of the game, right? Yeah. To go down.
Oh, yes.
So they had it 1st and goal, went to 4th and goal, didn't get it. Cincinnati then fumbles. They get it back on the 3-yard line and still don't get it.
Yeah.
Mostly because their quarterback on 3rd and goal goes and instead of diving in, slides. It's probably one of the most nincompoop plays I've ever seen a player do. This is hustle moment. I don't care if you get hurt if you're that player. Everything in you should be you can spin me in circles in the air. Yeah. I'm going to get in that end zone, right? Yes. And he just didn't.
Nope.
So, that being said, Cincinnati, you're not going to get ranked higher than this, man. If you want to move up in the playoff rankings, you better start destroying teams. Destroying teams.
Yeah, that's not going to look good on you. Mm-hmm. So Liberty was at number 15 Ole Miss, and
truthfully, it was never a game.
It was never a game.
I believe it might have been 27-0 before Liberty scored their 2 touchdowns. I don't remember. It was definitely already a blowout.
At halftime, it was definitely, they didn't have any score. So it all came in the second half. Ole Miss
was pretty much shut down for the most part. And then Corral and Lane Kiffin did what they needed to do.
And not a huge surprise here.
No.
Yeah, this is what we expected. Number 12, Auburn at number 13, Texas A&M. This was more a battle of defenses. Mm-hmm. Okay. I
very much battle with defense.
I got to say this. Bo Nix, he acted like Bo Nix. He had his moments. He's had games where he's looked really good, and this one he looked horrible. Yeah. He did nothing.
So the way I describe Bo Nix is he plays like Cam Newton, Johnny Manziel, Tim Tebow for 5% of all his games, right? Yeah. So he'll have this 5% moment where you're like, wow,
he's really
he seems like a top-tier quarterback. And then the 95% that he's not doing it, you're just like, wait a second. What is this the same kid that I thought it was? What's happening? That being said, I do want to give him one thing. That's he might have the worst receivers in the SEC. True. I've never seen receivers drop balls more than Auburn receivers. It's stunning.
I will give him that.
Yeah. Now, the other thing to note, Texas A&M, now the biggest Auburn fans in the country.
Yes.
All they need is Auburn to beat Alabama, or honestly any team, by the way, to beat Alabama. Arkansas still plays Alabama, so that's a big game for them as well.
Yeah.
Either of those teams win, Texas A&M's leading the SEC West.
Yeah, and they would get the big privilege of playing Georgia in the SEC.
So maybe they are going to throw. Maybe you don't want that. Anyways,
LSU was at number 2 Alabama.
Yep.
And let's just say this. Bama got 6 whole rushing yards in this entire game.
Probably the worst running performance Bama's had in, 20 years? I
did not count how many 3-and-outs Bama had, but it seemed like that's pretty much all they did.
Yeah.
Offensively. 3-and-outs, The only thing really that saved Bama in this game was their defense.
Yeah, I was about to say the saving grace of this game was Bama finally found their defense.
Yeah. And defense had a key pick in the second quarter that brought it to 14-0. That was sort of helping 14-7, 14-0, but pretty close in there. And that's what really saved Alabama in this game.
And every Alabama fan was on the edge of their seats because all LSU had to do was score a touchdown and get an extra point to win the game because Alabama's kicker missed the extra point and a field goal, by the way. Yeah. So he's been doing pretty solid until that game.
Yes. Yeah. Wow.
6 rushing yards. I would love to see the stat of when the last time Alabama had that little rushing yards in the game was.
I don't even want to see it.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 4, Oregon was at Washington. And we didn't mention this one last week, mainly because we didn't think it would be a big deal. Washington actually kept it much closer than we thought they would.
Yeah. Honestly, every team's kind of keeping it close right now. That's kind of the moral, except against Georgia. That's kind of the moral of the story. 26-16. I mean, in the end, Oregon did win, right? My question or my concerns with Oregon is their Pac-12 loss wasn't great, but they do still have, and I said this to you earlier, arguably the best win in college football.
Yeah.
And that was beating Ohio State.
Yeah.
Right. The only other win that you could argue is as good as that was Michigan State beating Michigan. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure. Or obviously Texas A&M beating Alabama. So there's a couple, but I mean, Oregon beating Ohio State, it really doesn't look like anybody is going to, we're going to talk about them in a second, but it doesn't look like anybody stopping Ohio State anytime soon.
No.
Right.
It's true. It's true. Even though when they played Nebraska, which is this next game, they struggled.
Yeah, I'll give them a pass because it's Nebraska, who every top 10 team seems to struggle against.
They've given top 10 teams a real difficult time. Have had some really close games.
They really have. This is actually the biggest blowout against a top 10 team that they've had this year, which is very impressive because it's only 10
26-17.
Yeah, and Frost just got an extension, so he'll at least be here one more year for Nebraska.
I think they're expecting him to begin to keep building this program.
Yeah, and it kind of seems like he is, right?
He's so tough place to build a program.
So close.
Nebraska's a tough place. But
Okay. Who wants to go to Nebraska?
All right, let's talk about some upsets. Not your upsets, but let's talk about upsets of the week because there were some. Number 3, Michigan State at Purdue. No one thought that. Well, that's not true.
I was about to say, for some reason,
that is true.
It's not true. And I clearly didn't see it because I really thought Michigan State was going to win. But people were like, yeah, Purdue, they're going to come in here and beat Michigan State. I'm like, they're the number 3.
It is true. A lot of people said that.
And like everyone thinks that. So surely you're like, oh, this could be an upset. We got to play our absolute best. Michigan State played like garbage. Yeah. Straight garbage. I mean, it was embarrassing for almost the entire game. They were down a massive amount. Like it was only an 11-point game at the end. It was worse than that.
Yeah.
Like it was just not a good game in any way or shape
and
or
also,
form.
let's give Purdue credit. Yeah. I mean, they came out and played.
And Purdue's done this against a couple teams, right? I mean, they ruined Iowa's season. They pretty much deflated everything Iowa had, right?
Yeah.
So, good for Purdue.
Yep, that's right. Boilermakers. Number 12, Baylor was upset by TCU. Close game, 30-28. But TCU pulled that one off.
Now, Gary Patterson's already gone, right? Wasn't it an immediate parting ways?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I need to double check on that. Yeah. But I know he's either gone already or gone at the end of the season. But, man, beating number 12 Baylor, that's a good look.
Yeah.
It's a good look.
Did not see this one coming.
Nope.
Tennessee was at number 18, Kentucky. This one is not that big of a surprise to me. Tennessee's... They have the potential. They are
Booker's a great quarterback, honestly.
He is a really good quarterback. And Kentucky, I really feel like it's been overrated this entire season. Still a close game. Defense was definitely optional. 45-42. Wow. I mean,
not much to say. I will say Kentucky on the last drive of the game got a 4th and 25 and still didn't go down to score. Like, come on. 4th and 25 and you're not going to keep going? Yeah. Shame.
That's right. Number 17, Mississippi State was at Arkansas. And this one ended. Arkansas won at 31-28. Mississippi State had an opportunity there near the end of the game to tie it up with a field goal, and they missed it.
Yeah, Arkansas felt like they were going to have a pretty good season early on, right? So maybe this is their recovery phase, just trying to get a bowl game.
Yeah.
This was a good win for Arkansas.
It is.
Yeah, they're not doing bad still. I'm pretty sure they only have 3 losses.
Yeah. Number 9, Wake Forest was at North Carolina.
Speaking of optional defense.
Oh, my goodness. North Carolina pulls this one off 58-55.
I'm a solid 80% sure last week I said I'm not going to pick North Carolina and they're finally going to pull off the upset. And they did. It upsets me just a little, but it's okay.
Yeah. And it's crazy to see this happen. And Wake Forest, again, Yes, they were undefeated at that point. ACC, this is not that big of a surprise.
And we have two of the biggest games of the season here, too. We haven't even talked about yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Arizona at California. 10-3, Arizona gets their first dub in 2 years.
That's right.
2 years. Like the longest Pac-12 streak ever, I think, of consecutive losses.
Yeah.
And I saw a stat of like how many days
Granted, last year was a short year.
Right. And I saw a stat of how many days it was, and it was pretty impressive how long they hadn't won a game. And then UNLV played, I believe, New Mexico State or New Mexico. I don't remember which one. It was the Lobos. And they beat them too. So, man, great day for both of those teams finally getting a win. Maybe it's the turnaround for the program.
I really believe there are no teams that don't have a win.
At least teams in conferences.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right.
So let's talk about your upsets from last week.
Yeah, we'll go with my weaker pick first because I honestly said last week that I just didn't know much of these two teams. Didn't know what was going to be happening.
Yeah.
Number 16 in the AP poll. They got disrespected in the college football playoff polls.
Meaning they're not in the top 25 at all.
Because they are undefeated. I mean, come on. Undefeated this late in the season. They deserve something.
Over some of the teams in there.
Yeah, for sure. Like a team we're about to talk about in a second.
That's right.
44-23, UTSA beat UTEP. UTEP's not a bad team. I really don't think so. This is their third loss of the season. The Miners put up not much of a fight against the Roadrunners. Yeah. Great mascots for both of these teams. Love that. And then I'm pretty proud of this one. I said I was going to go with Boise State this time around. They're at number 25, Fresno State. Sold out crowd for Fresno. So last time I didn't go with Boise.
So did they get the upset?
Last time I didn't go with Boise in an upset game. They beat BYU, and I was pretty disappointed in myself, so I wasn't going to take any risks. Yeah. Let me tell you, this felt like the Boise of old in this game, man. Yeah. 40-14.
My goodness.
There was never a chance.
No.
At Fresno. Multiple interceptions, fumbles, two brothers on the same team. I believe it's the second time in NCAA history. The Canijo brothers both got interceptions. Loved seeing that. It was super cool. And then the Fresno State quarterback, he was supposed to be a very talented kid. Just kind of got shut down. Halani being back at Boise, difference maker, man. Yeah. He, like a 60-yard catch and then 100-plus yards rushing. The kid hasn't been healthy all season, and just the second he's in the game, you just felt like Van Buren isn't an every down back, right? Yeah. He's a heavy back in the goal line. And then the Oregon transfer, he just doesn't seem like he's exactly there just yet. I think he's still getting acclimated into our system, even though we're giving him the season. And I don't necessarily think he is a star back necessarily. I think he's a good backup. But, I mean, Halani is where it's at for us, and he just performed so well. 40-14, maybe the turnaround point for our season.
Hope so.
Me too.
All right, so that's our look at Week 10 results. Join us when we talk about what's coming up with Week 11.